Welcome to Healers Talk Healing, the podcast where we gather to explore the art and science of holistic healing, uncovering the secrets to a happier, healthier you. I'm your host, Nina Ganguly, and together we will delve into the intriguing world of holistic healing, delving into the mind-body connection, ancient wisdom, and natural remedies. Get ready for enlightening stories, thought-provoking expert interviews, and practical tips that will empower you to unlock your true potential and embrace a vibrant, balanced life. Whether you're an experienced wellness enthusiast or simply curious about the power of healing, join us on this exhilarating journey as we share the wisdom and insights that can truly transform your life. It's time to embark on a voyage towards a happier, healthier you. So, without further ado, let's dive into the captivating world of Healers Talk Healing. Welcome back to Healers Talk Healing. On this episode, we welcome the incredible NiyeNenu White, founder of Healing Hands Oasis Wellness Center and apothecary, Reiki master, herbalist, acupuncturist, colon hydrotherapist, and published author. For over a decade, NiyeNenu has guided individuals on deep healing journeys of mind, body, and soul. From her early work in total body corrective therapy to creating her own organic Reiki-infused herbal oils, her approach blends ancient Eastern medicine, energy healing, and plant-based wellness. She believes the body is wise and is capable of healing itself when given the right environment. In this transformational conversation, we explore NiyeNenu's self-love journey, the energetic roots of physical pain, and how modalities like Reiki, acupuncture, and herbal medicine unlock new paths to balance and well-being. Whether you're seeking inspiration, clarity, or tools to support your own healing, this episode is a must listen. Oh my goodness, I am super excited to have the wonderful NiyeNenu White on with us. I think I said it right after I repeated it 4 times.
No worries.
And I apologize if I did not say it correctly, but it is so exciting to have you on here. And for those of you who tuned in to the meditation on June, we're not in July yet, June, on June 7th, you were wonderful, and thank you so much for facilitating that for us. And if you haven't joined the Global Meditation for Wellness, then please hop onto our site and check it out and join. It doesn't cost anything. We do it on the first Saturday of every month. But I digress because I'm actually really excited to talk to you. And
Okay.
First question I asked all of our guests is, what does healing mean to you, or what's your definition of healing?
Okay. Healing really coincides with self-healing. It is all-inclusive. We're more than just physical bodies, right? So we're physical beings, emotional beings, spiritual beings. So healing encompasses more than 3 dimensions, in my opinion. So healing is complete, holistic, and I guess understanding how the body works from every aspect of life in general. So healing is love. I mean, if you want to just bring it down to the simplest word, healing is love. And we're even talking about self-love, like that's the foundation of loving others around you as well. So
And let's go deep into that, a little bit into that conversation of self-love, because I think many of us struggle with self-love, and many of us, I think we do it like we'll sit at a surface level, self-love, have a bubble bath, go to a spa, get our hair done, which, yes, is taking care of yourself and loving yourself. But there's a deeper conversation that I think we miss sometimes around what it actually means, what that is, and a lot of it does start with, I think, a healing journey. And I'm going to talk specifically about women.
Yes.
We give so much of ourselves, out there. And I don't
Mhm.
think there's anything wrong with that. That's, part of, I think, our nature is to be those nurturers, to be giving. But we're always missing out over here, right here, you know?
Yep.
And then when we begin to look in here, sometimes something goes on.
Yep. Yep.
So for you, when you're talking about the dimensions and going deeper, what is your prescription for self-love?
That has changed so many times over the years because I'm still defining it.
Mm,
But I want to say one of the biggest things that I've learned up until my journey now is that I can't really give to those around me if I'm depleted,
mm,
right? So when I thought I was putting myself out there, giving, 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 but I wasn't doing the same for me, then I had to re-look at all of those interactions
mhm,
and see, was it really genuine? Because if self-love is the measuring stick for what you can give others, then that was pretty, like, it was an interesting self-reflection. Like, wow, like,
mm,
was that really empty? Was that really pure from my heart if I didn't even have it for me? So I know we've all heard love is kind, right?
mhm,
No one says love is nice,
mm,
right? Nice and kind are two different things. Niceties are what you feel are expected of you. Kindness is rooted in truth. And I had to
mm,
look back at the truth that all these things that I thought I was doing for people out of love, out of niceness, was not rooted in truth. It wasn't something that I truly, that resonated with me because
mhm.
I didn't, how can it resonate with you when you don't know you? When you don't spend time to love you, right?
Right.
So it's like I'm in this journey of really breaking down. I guess you call it alchemy. Alchemy is decomposition
Mhm.
and then recomposition, right? So
Mm.
I'm breaking down who I thought I was and then rebuilding who I actually am. And all of that is rooted in self-love, rooted in truth. So, mhm.
There is just like, oh, so many beautiful sound bites in that, what you just shared, which is like kindness is truth. And discovering the truth from my own experience, because I can only really speak about mine, is not always easy.
We're pretty.
Or yeah, pretty, not pretty, not pretty. The willingness to love all the parts of you, the parts that, that you so nicely hide from yourself, not just others, but from yourself, is something, it's called shadow work, and then there's inner child work. There's all these labels for all the works, and
Hmm.
they're all very important. And I think the benefit of this conversation is what I'm hearing you say is like, that's where you want to go. You want to go and be in those places and not, well, duck and hide, duck and hide from the truth.
Yeah,
Like, how do
exactly.
you be kind to others if you don't know how to be kind to yourself? Like, from a true, authentic place, I've said the same thing in the past. There's that saying, like, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But how do you do that if you are not truly loving yourself? And even at the question of, sometimes I question, as a mother, we say we have unconditional love for our children. But do we? If there's a challenge of having that unconditional love for self, and I know
Hmm.
some moms out there will be like, these are fighting words, but I'm coming from that authentic place right now after doing work and still doing the work. By the way, FYI, the work never ends. But
It
doing,
never.
doing the work is seeing that, wait a minute, I developed these relationships based on who I didn't want to be, who I did want to be, versus who they needed me to be in those moments. And
Hmm.
if I was truly coming from a place of authenticity, that would have been so much more easier. Not saying that, I wasn't going to traumatize my children. I was not a mother before. I have no idea. That whole thing is a whole, that's a whole different bowl of cherries. But this conversation, I think, is so important to have. And for women at any age, and oh my gosh, yes, I can say the younger you are, the easier it is. I don't think so. I think it's easy to say when I'm, on the other end of being the young one. Um,
Hmm.
because we still have to have all of those incredible, I'm going to say incredible lessons, experiences, learnings in order to get to a place to say, oh yeah, okay, this is where things started.
Hmm.
So you said, you were saying there were many different iterations of you going through and, you know, beginning to develop this relationship with yourself. Where did it start for you?
Ooh. Um, I guess you could say the actualization of seeing myself started after my divorce and when
Mm,
I was 28. Um, so that year was the year I really recognized that I'm not who I want to be.
mm,
Um, and I was rooted in spirituality, asking higher powers, like, why am I here? So that journey is like, it began at 28.
mm.
And up to 10 years ago, I'm 38 this year. So,
Looking gorgeous, just by the way.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, but it wasn't an easy journey because it was a lot of, I like to call them pies of truth that were thrown in my face. You know, how people
Mm,
throw pies in your face, right? But
mhm.
they were truth pies. So it was like delicious, but it hurt. If that makes sense,
Yes.
right? Especially when your internal desire is to know yourself, it's easier to accept the truth, right? I mean,
Mhm,
it's hard still, but it's easier to accept the truth. Um, but I also just want to highlight that even though we're focusing on women, right?
mm,
I like to make it more metaphysical and say this is a feminine principle.
Yeah, let's talk
Okay.
about that.
Right? So it's not something that women just do. It's something that women and men do because we both have the feminine, divine feminine, and the divine masculine in us. So I don't want men to be deterred like, oh, here goes women again talking about
No,
self-love.
and I
No,
agree with you. Let's be inclusive.
everybody, if you are a soul, a human soul, right?
Mhm,
You need self-love to get to the next level. Actually, in this level of my journey right now, my fiance has been the greatest teacher with self-love. I watch how he loves on himself and I'm
mm,
like, I want that too. So it's like we just like how a baby does when they're growing up, they watch their parents, they watch their peers, they watch their teachers, and they're like, that is that right? Is that the right thing to do? Is that no, that's wrong. Okay, I can't do that, right? We're constantly, exploring, giving, taking, trying this out, experimenting here, but we look to the people that we trust around us who
mm,
exude what we want in our lives, right? So this 10-year journey has, even though it's only been 10 years, now 10 years is short, it feels like it's been happening for a lifetime. I
mhm,
do believe in past lives. When I encountered my past lives through past life regressions, I have been on this journey for multiple lifetimes. It's just in this lifetime, I recognize at the age of 28 that I'm like, whoa, no, I got to get back to it. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Right.
right.
So it's an arduous journey, but it's so rewarding because when you can really break down all of those walls and expectations of others, societal expectations, motherly, parental expectations, friendship, all those expectations, and really get down to the core of who you are, which I'm not there yet, right? Remember, this is a lifetime, more than a lifetime journey, right?
Mhm,
Um, when you start really getting that peephole of like, oh, this is who, oh, that confidence sets in. Everybody's out there like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? That purpose is generated from the confidence of knowing who you are. If you don't know who you are, the confidence is shaky, but all of that's rooted in loving yourself. You have to accept yourself, love yourself. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Um, So it's a beautiful journey, and I believe that all humans, all souls, all spirits are trying to reach that highest level of consciousness to integrate back to the great I am consciousness, right? So
Hmm.
that's why it's more than just a lifetime's work. It is multiple lifetimes. Each time we come back, we're next step closer, next step closer, next step closer. I mean, I got one more iteration. It's just feeling in my heart. Coming back one more time. And then after that, I'm like,
You
boop,
got it,
boom,
right?
integrated with source energy, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, I totally I get that. I do. I get that they're, like I said, it's a never-ending journey until it is. And we don't always necessarily know or have the insight to when that is. And I loved what you said about my purpose, because so many of us walk around in this world like, why am I here? What is it all about? Like, and there's so many different perspectives on
Mm-hmm.
why we are here, or I'm very in alignment with what you're talking about, you
Mm-hmm.
know and so, for as you were sharing, I was thinking, okay, I've done past life regressions. Like, what I've learned for myself, that my journey has been all about forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
The the road to self love for me has been through forgiveness. I've
Mm-hmm.
had some, we could go real woo woo and I could tell you who I saw and who I was. And maybe that's for another time, or maybe I could. I don't know. People will be like, you cray cray, Nina. But, in one iteration of a past life, I think I'm just going to share. And if, it is what it is. But there's a big one for forgiveness, which is I was Judas. And so trust me, that took a long time for me to digest and work through and understand. And I was like, come on now, this is just my brain doing dumb stuff. Because, just for those out there who have heard about past life regressions, and maybe are thinking about it, it does sometimes feel like your brain is playing tricks on you. Like, is this real? But then you flip to another one and you flip to another one and you're thinking it's your imagination. And your facilitator is walking along with you going, I can see what you see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I understand, just like you understand, like what the direction is. And I get, for me, what my direction is. And every time I'm working with another healer for myself, being a healer is wonderful, and I get to be that space for others, but we need healers in our lives too. Like, coaches need
Yes.
coaches, doctors need doctors, teachers need teachers. We all need, just that other person who's there to help guide us along the way. And I really just, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because what you're sharing with me is landing and resonating so
Mm-hmm.
strongly about the truth and the authenticity and the self-love gives you your purpose.
Mm-hmm. It
And,
really does.
I say this consistently, it's all an inside job. We need to, well, I'm going to say need to. You can do whatever you want, it's your journey, but we
Right.
need to stop looking out there, outside of us, for what's going on in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a wonderfully crazy journey that takes a minute. And there's one thing that you said that I agree with as well. There's got to be a willingness to do the discovery.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be that willingness to be brave and courageous, to walk. And, because some things will knock you down. Some things you discover about yourself. And then there's just life that just happens and gets in the way of your just self discovery. And you're like, wait a
Right.
minute, I thought I was a higher self of myself, and then you just find yourself being your old self, and things happen, and give yourself a break. Um, but this is just so wonderful. So thank you for giving us those nuggets. But I want to ask you about you and your journey of what had you get into the healing arts and all the different things that you do that we shared earlier in your
Mm-hmm.
introduction, because I find them all so fascinating.
So, since I was a kid, um, really young, I would say maybe 6, 7, my aunt and my mom used to give me a few dollars here and there, to massage their feet, right?
Mm.
I've always been a touchy-feely person, and as
Mhm.
I got older, I learned that it's somatic empathy. And for
Mm.
those who don't know what somatic empathy is um, the empathic person who feels or heals through feeling. Meaning, I like imagine watching a TV show and the person gets stabbed through the gut. I can feel it's like, oh, right? So I have to be mindful of the things I watch, the things that I hear, because the minute I visualize it in my head, it's almost as if it's happening to me.
Oh, wow.
I can feel it, right? So when I'm working with my clients, I can actually feel their pain before they tell me where it is. If I'm palpating on the body, I'm like, "Ooh, you got sharp back pains?" They're like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" Because I can feel them. That's why,
Mm.
right? So somatic empathy, I've had it since a kid before I even understood what it was. I used to get teased called what do they call them? A hypochondriac.
Ah.
Ever hear? Yep.
Mm.
So all my hypochondriacs out there, if you are a healer and an empath, just know that you're feeling everybody around you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's pain, everybody's emotions, everybody's joy, all of these random emotions just kind of flooding you. And when you don't know yourself, it's hard to distinguish who are you? Why am I feeling all this stuff? Confusion
Mm.
breeds from not knowing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you feel so deeply, right? So I've been healing since I was a kid.
Mm.
I grew up in the church. Um, I was deemed a prayer warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Like like I told you, if I can visualize it, I'm manifesting it. I'm also a manifester in the human design as well.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
I have all these like really sensitive skills. Um, I guess in the psychology world, they would call them highly sensitive persons, HSPs. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Mm-hmm.
So being so sensitive, I have to really, really, I'm motivated to know myself because if I don't, I'm confused and I can't really help anybody around me, right?
Okay.
So the healing aspect started with trying to help others, through expectation,
Mm-hmm.
but then discovering that I need to know me first so I can help others more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, as I got older through the years, just from my own physical injuries, focusing on the here and now and the present because no one really teaches you the spirituality at a young age, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
feel it, but you don't fully consciously understand it. So I'm stuck in the physical, athletic, injure myself, I get frozen shoulder, knee issues, tilted hip, all that kind of stuff. Find a fascial stretch therapist and she heals me of my physical ailments. I'm like, I want to do that. So I get certified. I
Mm-hmm.
get certified as a fascial stretch therapist,
Okay.
and that is the start of me soliciting my healing services.
Mm.
I learned really quick that my touch is different than other people's touch because of the type of healer that I am. But I didn't know that in the meantime, right? So I'm
Mm.
doing fascial stretch therapy, stretching people out. They're seeing results like instantaneously, immediately, but then deeper healing within.
Mm.
And I'm like, what? Why? So then I learn and discover about this thing called Reiki, and that was probably like 2017.
Mm.
um, when I find out about it, I also learned about past life regressions at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So my Reiki practitioner was also a past life regression uh, facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to do the past life regression first because I was feeling feelings of abandonment
Mm-hmm.
and like I'm just going to be left alone. And I'm like, I don't have those issues in this lifetime. What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So after doing research, I discovered that maybe it's remnants of a past life that's seeping into this life. And that's always been my motivation to do past life regressions in conjunction with my healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I go do past life regression, find out who I was, could not accept it, but recognize that that person that I was lived a lonely life, didn't have any children, no siblings, and died an old, lonely life. So
Mm.
those energies were seeping into this lifetime, preventing me from really connecting with people when I'm healing because I'm feeling a sense of abandonment.
Mm.
Um, Once I was able to kind of talk to that version of me and let it go, those feelings dissipated. Another notch on the
Mhm.
journey to move forward. So I get certified as a Reiki practitioner level 2. I went in for level 1. The practitioner was like, "You're already a level 2. You probably should be a master, but let me just go throwing that in for free. We're just going to certify you level 2." So I get certified level 2 right on the spot. Um, I start offering that service along with my fascial stretch therapy. But the type of healer that I am, it's hard for me to piecemeal my services because I look at my abilities as a tool belt. And as I'm doing fascial stretch therapy, Reiki is like my locator spell.
Mhm.
That's how I've always identified it. So before I begin the stretch, I lay my hands on people and I'm like, okay, because of the somatic empathy, right? I
Right.
can feel, and then I start the fascial stretch therapy. So it was hard for me to separate the services in the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, Going forward, I started separating the services, but just focusing on Reiki alone and kind of not doing fascial stretch therapy to see people who just, want Reiki. I was doing it long distance too.
Mhm.
And that's what really built up my confidence of offering Reiki as a separate services for those who want it. If you want fascial stretch therapy, you're still going to get Reiki. The minute I put my hands on you, I mean, I know I can turn it off, but why would I want to do that when that helps me be a more efficient fascial stretch
Sure.
therapist? So I just offered it separate for those who don't want to be stretched and just want energetic healing. Few years later, I get certified as a master, learn how to attune others. And I got my certification through Phoenix College, and it was set up so well. Like it was 4 weekends, and I'm an educator for those who don't know. I've taught for 5 years. My mom had a home child care center for 30 plus years. I helped out in that. So teaching, I'm a natural born teacher. That is like a passion of mine.
Mhm.
So when I saw the certification process being taught in that environment, like school style, it really resonated with me
Mm.
to the point where I'm like, oh, I can definitely reattune people. This is amazing, right? Um, Big up to Phoenix College. After becoming a Reiki master, I started teaching myself acupressure.
Hmm.
Those of you who don't know what acupressure is, it is just like acupuncture. Just no needles are involved. You may use like a blunt tool or your fingertips. I use my fingertips, and I use the same app that all of the other traditional Chinese medicine schools use for their students. I didn't know that. I learned that by happenstance. So by teaching myself that, and because I have somatic empathy, I can be an efficient acupressurist. I started combining acupressure with fascial stretch therapy, even started pulling back on fascial stretch therapy, focusing on acupressure and only incorporating fascial stretch therapy when necessary.
Mm.
Um, because all ailments, all disruptions of energy start in the energetic space. Remember, we're spirit beings first,
Mhm.
occupying this physical sleeve, right? So if everything originates spiritually, then I'm going to focus on the meridian lines, the chakras, everything that's energetic base first to see if that unwinds physically, and whatever's left, then I'll tackle with the physical.
Mm.
So that has been like I guess you say, the gist of my healing journey. Today, I'm also a colon hydrotherapist for those of you who don't know what that is.
I
It
was going
is
to ask
like,
you about that, right?
I know, right? Think about an enema on 100. The difference, the enema is gravity fed, whereas a colonic is pressurized water. So it becomes more efficient when you do a colonic. And because I'm a certified colon hydrotherapist, I currently work at Be More Clean Colon Hydrotherapy. Big ups to Elizabeth Josephs, the owner of there. She's also my friend. Um, I actually brought it to her attention to offer my energetic services
Mm.
during colonics because water is life.
Mm.
And we are 70% water. So we know that you can speak life into water. Water holds memory, right? So
Hmm.
if I'm working the energetic force field of your being while water is going in and out of you, man, that just makes the energy work more efficient, right? So I actually build up my skills and efficiency, hence the guided meditation,
Hmm.
um, doing colonics and Reiki, doing colonics and acupressure at the same time. So Reiki is a service that I offer during the colonics, and I always start off with like a 6 to 7 minute guided meditation of opening the chakras,
Mm.
which allows the person, it's self accountability. When
Right.
you sit by that tree and you are focusing on every chakra, spinning and opening it, you are making yourself open to the things you desire.
Mm.
Most of us want to manifest and desire, but we don't open ourselves. So
Mm.
I truly believe like all my meditations have that opening your chakras. It's actually on YouTube for free. Like I give it away like no, you need this. And the methodology that I use, I learned from one of my mediumship slash psychic teachers. Her name is Tina. She's a trance medium healer. She works a lot with horses, and she initiated that process with the spinning plates.
Mm.
I then took that and then added my own flair to it and slowed it down because she works really fast. Like she just go, go, go. I'm like, my ADHD brain, hold on, I got to slow it down. I got to do it for the rest of my people who need to slow it down. So my guided meditation is about 6 to 7 minutes long of just sitting there, setting the tone, feeling, hearing, getting all your senses involved, and then opening your chakras. So by doing that in the colonic sessions, it helped me to speed up my process to be able to get more efficient with helping people to open themselves. So, and then here we are today. I'm definitely focusing more on offering my services of Reiki, acupressure, fascial stretch therapy. I currently offer my services out of my godmother's crystal store called Stardust and Sage Crystal Store. It's also an herbal botanica as well. Um,
And where is that located? Just so the people know where you are.
oh, yeah. If you're in Phoenix, Arizona, downtown Phoenix, uh, there's a street called Roosevelt Street, and they call it Roosevelt Row. So it's right off of Roosevelt Street and Fifth Street. Stardust and Sage, Herbal Apothecary. It's a botanica. So there's a bunch of herbal stuff there, and definitely other spiritual services. But that's where I offer my Reiki, acupressure, and then I sell my oils next door as well. So I'm a self-taught herbalist. So
Lovely, lovely, lovely. I love it. You're all encompassing.
yes.
All
Mm-hmm.
encompassing. I say that, jack of all trades, master of none. And then there's a whole long thing that comes after that, which really means it's great to be a
Remember?
jack of all trades.
Yes.
Because
It
I say
really
the same
is.
thing about myself. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. And, it keeps things interesting. It keeps
Mm-hmm.
things exciting. And your clients are must be so blessed to be able to work with you with all of the tools that you have in your tool belt. I love that you said that because I find myself doing the same thing when I'm working with clients. Either they come in through the coaching perspective or they come from Reiki. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, hold on a second. Let's just pause for one moment. We need to pause because coaching keeps you here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Reiki brings you here. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need to move from here and go back here for a minute and then go
Mm-hmm.
back but front and back. So I love that you have that approach. And most healers that I know who have multi-modalities will do the same thing. Find a
Mm-hmm.
unique perspective and a unique way to use all the tools when they're needed. Keep them separate if that's what people want. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think for those of you who are in the Phoenix, Arizona area, you need to check this lovely, lovely woman out. And before we move on to something else, I want to talk to you about your name
Oh,
because
yes.
I mess it up every single time, right? And I also know that you had a different name before.
Hmm.
So I was just saying before we started recording, I'm like, can we just call you that name? It's just easier for me, but it's not about me. It's about
Right.
you. And I really
Hmm.
want to hear the story and the journey of the name change.
Okay. All right. So, for those who know me from when I was younger, my birth name, the name that was given to me is June, June White. I never liked it growing up because everyone who I seen with the name June did not look like me, right?
Mm.
So I was like, "Ugh, why did she name me June?" And then I asked my parents the story why they named me June, and technically I was supposed to be a boy. Even
Oh,
the doctors said I was supposed to be a boy. My mom carried low, the sonograms, everything. I was supposed to be a boy. When I came out, it was like, surprise, I'm a
right.
girl. And they didn't have a name for me.
Oh.
So they named me June. And my mom says, no, that's just the name of one of my favorite actors. And I'm like, sure. Um, they named me June because I was born in June. My birthday just passed June 6th. But also, I don't know if people know in the Black community, juniors are also called June.
I did not know that.
Yes, so I was actually supposed to be my dad's first boy. I was supposed to be Carl Edward White Jr. I was supposed to be a junior. So when I came out, I think he was like, yeah, we'll do June. That's fine. Because I'm like his junior, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like the female version of my father, really. I am my daddy's girl. Um, but June, I never liked it, and I've changed my name actually multiple times, and not legally, but all my names were given to me.
Mm.
So I found an African spiritual martial arts called capoeira.
Oh,
People will say it's Brazilian, but it is African based and from Angola.
mm.
And you get nicknames,
Okay.
and the master or the sensei who's teaching you gives you your name. Well, my master couldn't figure out a name for me, so when we had a big celebration, they call it a batizado,
Hmm.
like a baptism, right?
Okay.
The masters from around the world came. These two masters were responsible for bringing capoeira to the United States. They named me. They named me Nzinga. And if you know your Angolan history, Nzinga is the name of one of the queens who kept her people from slavery
Mm.
as long as she could. So Queen Nzinga of Angola. I knew who she was. So when they named me that, I was like, what? I said, those are some big shoes to fill. They were like, yeah, we know. Uh-huh. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I'll accept it humbly. So Nzinga is one of the names that was given to me. Ama is another name that was given to me, and it is she who was born on Saturday.
Mm.
In Ghana, they have these names called day names.
Okay.
And before, I think a few days before the child is given a name, they are given their day name based on the day they were born. And AMA, AMA, based on how it's spelled, tells you which region in Ghana you're actually from, right? So I had a Ghanaian grandmother who her daughter owned a restaurant, and she said, baby girl, what day was you born? And I said, on Saturday. She goes, I was like, oh, I'm about to give my day name. Gave me my name. She goes, you are Alma. And I said, I'll accept it. So June, Alma, and Zinga, these are my names. My last name that I received is my Ifa spiritual name. So Ifa is a spiritual system that is practiced by the people from the Yoruba nation, the Yoruba peoples that are from in West Africa. They occupy different countries
Mhm.
because we don't honor those lines that were given to us, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
So NiyeNenu, I was told initially it means she who has the world within her.
Mm.
Um, I'm also studying Yoruba right now, and the linguist who is teaching me asked me if I knew what my name meant, and I told him I was told it means she who has the world within her, or the world within is what the literal translation, and then she who has the world within her.
Mm.
And he goes, I just want you to know that it's not just the physical world; it is the life that exists within the world, like the life of every being that exists that you encounter, that even ones you don't encounter, that is what that means. Like everything on the outside already exists inside of you. Just want you to make sure you know that. And I was like, thank you for adding that piece of clarity to that. Even though I embodied that already, it was just beautiful hearing a native Yoruba speaker who is a linguist who teaches the language break it down for me that way. And I embody that name because the more I practice self-love coming to me, who I am, when I encounter others, I can show them that the world exists within them as well.
Mm.
Right? Now, I was today years old when I did some research on the name June. Because I was like, oh, that's a European name. I don't want that name. But even we know that European culture, like Greek culture, all of that is based off of African culture. They've learned and studied from African cultures, right? And the name June has a Greek origins from the Greek goddess Juno. And Juno was the goddess of fertility, goddess of love, birthing children. But also, it said that she was, and if people know more about this, please correct me. Like I said, I was today years old when I figured it out. I was like, research my name.
Yep.
Juno was the goddess of all the gods and goddesses. And just from that alone, if like that's what that is, then she encompasses everything within her as well. So and like I said, I'm still learning, I'm not above being corrected, but I like that it resonates with that, right? Because I can see that if that's what that is, then that's very similar to NiyeNenu, but just from a Greek perspective. So I'm like, maybe I should embrace all my names, not just leave out the European one, because all of them come from a source of like telling you who you are, the energy that was brought to you. So yeah.
I love, well, first of all, wow, what a story, and I don't even know I'm kind of speechless because that was a pretty darn good story. Because it begins, my brain is like, my name is this, and da da da, and da da da, and I go by a nickname, and da 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 da, and what does all that mean? And who knows? Maybe I'll go down that rabbit hole one day for sure. But it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. I loved our conversation. So powerful, so thought-provoking. And that's what we want to do here. We want to leave our listeners with some information, some questions, things to ponder. We don't have all the answers.
Nope.
We don't. And this life is a journey, whether you are on a healing journey or you're a healer or wherever you are, it's a journey. I think we need to just embrace it however it comes along. It's like a roller coaster, right? Like some of it's fun and some of it makes you want to throw up.
But think about it. If we had all the answers, we wouldn't need each other. We're not supposed to have all the answers. We're not supposed to know everything. We're supposed to share information, share cultures. But to share, you have to know yourself. Self-love is the foundation of everything.
Amen to that, sister. That's all I have to say. And with that, we are coming to an end. And if you want to work with NiyeNenu, then you are on our directory. So come to miracleresources.com, or as we've been known in the past, miraclesdirectory.com. You'll all come to the same place and you will be able to find her. And also, if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, she told you where she is. So go find her there. This conversation has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and enlightening us with your journey and your life story. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today on Healers Talk Healing. We hope you've been inspired and empowered on your holistic healing journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode and want to continue learning and growing with us, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, healing is a lifelong journey, and you have the power to transform your life in profound ways. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop believing in your own capacity for healing.